Mr. Chairman, and honorable friends on the dais, as well as my brothers and sisters from Mumbai. Before I start, how many minutes do I have, sir? 20? Oh my God. I would like to give slightly out of the box assessment as I see it, which is a purely subjective matter, and one is welcome to agree or disagree, criticize, or whatever one feels like. It's purely my personal observation on the basis of my experience in the past as well as my professional experience as of now. Now, to begin with, my honorable friend, my very dear friend, Mr. Parande, he says I'm a retired person. I object. My friend, he is not retired. We retire only one day. So kindly, you have not retired. I object. Never use the word I have retired. He is junior to me by 3 years and 17 days. He was born on Thursday, 8th November 1951. And he says, I'm retired. I'm not yet retired. How can he retire? Sorry. Never do that. That means he's asking me also to go. No, of course he did not mean that. So having said that, let me tell you one thing. We are at the moment in an era of free market economics. And in a free market economics, of course, we arrived late in 1991. We have to catch up with some of the leading players in the globe, including my friend from Italy. They started much before us. Now, once you are in the handicap, you have to try to do things in your own way. You can't go very fast, but you also cannot go very slow, because we are 1.25 billion. We are producing, our economics will have to be linked with our population, which is increasing by 1.85 crore per year. Australia is 2.4. So we are virtually producing one Australia every year, 1.85 and 2.4, one static with a huge land mass. So therefore, there is all the more need for employment and the expanding of the economy. And for the expanding of the economy, we have got three sectors which I have divided into: law and business, constitution and politics, and freedom of business vis-a-vis the security of the country. These are apparently three different aspects altogether, but yet a time comes when you get linked with freedom of business with the national security. It has happened innumerable times. In the name of security, which is very valid, I fully endorse that security, safety, unity and integrity comes first, foremost and last for any country, and especially a country like India. Nevertheless, how do you balance it? That's the problem. Now, the balancing factor is the judiciary. My friend, Mr. Anup Sarup, Ravindra Sarup, very bright man, he made a statement that compliance and confidence, trust, I mean. I retired on Friday, 31st October 2008 from the government, and re-employment as advisor in the Central Vigilance Commission, retired on 10th January 2010. Thereafter, I became an advocate in High Court and Supreme Court for the last 4.5 years. But Lordship, kindly allow me to agree to disagree with you slightly. The trust deficit has improved, but needs to be improved further. I tell you why. Customs is a fantastic department with a Customs Act of 1962, which contains 161 sections. It's an amazing act, no doubt. It's the most powerful act, perhaps, amongst all the things. Even your IPC or CRPC is not as powerful, to my mind, as Customs Act is, because there is one section called 108. 108, you can summon anyone and take a statement, and that statement is admissible in the court of law as credible. Whereas in the CRPC or IPC, if you give a statement in front of the police officer, it is not accepted in the court of law. So therefore, by that 108 section, apart from that, there are various other sections from 100 to 124, which is amazingly powerful sections, and it gives virtually unfettered power to the Customs Department. Now here, kindly don't mind, this is no personal insinuation, it's only an issue. Nothing to do with individual aspect. Customs Department, there are importers. They come with bill of entry. Oh, you are undervalued. I'm talking import at the moment, and he's also from the import at the moment. So now, not he. Now, when you are importing, what happens? Oh, you are undervalued. So now $10 per unit. No, it's $15. All right, my lordship, it's $15. So after $15, oh, no, $18. Okay, $18 per unit. Now, okay, go. Now, once you give the assessment order pertaining to the valuation or the classification thereof in the bill of entry or given assessment order, that becomes an order. When that becomes an order, it is valid, valid in the sense that you can go against that order of the departmental officer. Either way, if you are the importer, you can go, no, I'm not happy. It's not $18. It was actually $12. He overvalued my things. Now, either way, the department can say, no, it's all $18, it should have been $25. So it's not $10, he undervalued. Department says 18, fair enough, it should be 25. So either way, the department or the aggrieved SEC can go to the higher authorities for an appeal. Stipulated time period, 3 months. Am I right? Is it 3 months? Assessment order? So 3 months. So after 3 months, if neither of them goes, that means that assessment order is final. Now what is happening? It's happening because now I'm seeing, I've got around 11 cases, identical cases. Assessment order has been given, no one has gone on appeal. Someone else, some other wing of the same Customs Department catching hold of it, after 3 years, no. You should be paid $39. Now this is called double punishment for the same offense. Now this is a very serious matter. This is happening, I would not have had spoken unless and until I had seen it, and seeing is believing. According to Article 20, subclause 2 of the Indian Constitution, no person can be punished twice for same offense. Then CPC, Civil Procedure Code, Section 11, a chapter called Res Judicata, same thing is applicable. If there is a fight between customs or me, or whatever, police or me, I have already been, it has been decided, the issue has been resolved, and verdict has been given, the time has passed, it has become time barred. You cannot be punished again for that same offense. Now, unfortunately, what is happening, there is another section in the Customs Act called 28, which takes 5 years, am I right? Section 28 says, no, you have done smuggling. So in smuggling, and if there is a revenue loss, and there is a deliberate attempt and malified intention and this motive and that motive, I can continue for 5 years. So that means you have been punished. After 4 years, I'll come back and again to punish you. I say, my dear friend, how is it possible your officers have given the verdict and you are jabardasti hai kya bhai? Tum 5 saal ke liye kar rahe ho. I'm going for writ petition as well as SLP in several other cases now. Writ petition to the High Court and SLP to the Supreme Court. I said, this is not done. You are thereby violating the Constitution of the country, 22, as well as the res judicata CPC, which still exists. Now you can't say the Customs Act supersedes the Constitution of India. I'm sorry, I totally disagree with you, my lordship. So there are issues like this, various issues, and which are very serious issues. But of course, things have improved in a very big way, and but institutional improvement has a long way to go. Individually, yes. My friend Parande has been a brilliant officer, absolutely. He has been very friendly, very firm, but very friendly. I mean, very deceptive smile, Mona Lisa smile. The point is, he will give you all hospitality, but he will not spare you. So that is why I admire him. And, but that individual way of doing things is different from institutional way. And I'm very happy that the present government is trying to put the institutional procedure in place, rather than going into the individual, tum achhe ho, acha, very good, tum kharab ho, tum acha, very bad. And that's not the way. Acha. Now secondly, employment is economics and economics is prosperity. As I told you, I'll give you slightly out of the box, apart from whatever the things are. Now, profit in any organization is a must. Very few people will be able to do charity if they do not have profit. Charity flows from profit. Profit cannot flow from charity, according to me. I may be wrong. So unless and until you make profit, you generate money to expand your business, to create employment, how do the progress of the country take place? No company can survive, forget expansion or creating employment without it. Hence the need to strike a balance between expanding economy and stable and steady tax regime. And in slightly individual, I got a notice for 5,600 rupees, हमने tax नहीं दिया. मैंने कहा हे भगवान, for 40 years I have 5,600. Some computer has generated somewhere कि 5,600 rupees I have not paid. I said, I went to, I ran here, there, everywhere. I said, it's not that I cannot pay. I can pay much more than 5,600. I met commissioners, you know, sir, what has happened, this has happened, this, the computer has generated, so the computer is right, I'm wrong. Manika, this is the thing. No, nothing doing. I said, you have not yet returned my 2.5 lakhs income tax refund. What happens to that? No, sir, it will take its own time. So this is the thing. And there's a danger. This danger is there all the more. I'll give you another instance. There's a friend of mine whose daughter is only 6 months old. He went to the passport office to get his daughter's passport. The passport officer says, the girl, 6 months girl, does not have the character certificate, so you cannot get a passport. So he says, what character? Yeah, I'm giving the character certificate. She has not yet any character. Because nothing doing, get a character certificate. Then when I gave a mouthful to someone in the foreign ministry, then they were called an exceptional karke kar diya. Then I asked him, what is the matter? Then they said, no, computer has generated that this is going on for 5 years, some consultancy and some sitting in somewhere, and backroom boys. No, character certificate is a must. They have not mentioned the character certificate after 15 or 14 or whatever. So anyone born must have a character certificate. Birth certificate should accompany a character certificate. The God should give a character certificate that you are born. So this is I mean, this is a very serious matter, which needs to be taken into consideration. You are banking excessively on the machine, and that technology also has its danger. Then what happens to the discretion? Here comes the discretion. Now, Ravindra Sarup, Parande said discretion should be reduced. Yes, it should be reduced, but there has to be some discretion in these sort of matters. What is this? Now, law and technology, yes, very important point. As and when things come up, we can discuss about it. But another thing which I would now suggest, yesterday one young man of 22 years asked me several questions. Then I went back to my room and thought over the matter. Till 4 o'clock I couldn't sleep, I was writing. I said, yes, this guy has a point. He says, how can business expand? How can business expand? You know, everything is being done by the government. I said, young man, make no mistake about it. The government is reducing its business making capability and ability. We are all aware of it. So you have to make your own effort. 1991 was a landmark. Overnight business opportunities opened up. And the best business opportunities which opened up in 1991-92, I was then Director Minister of Civil Aviation from 1992 on 17th of February, Monday, to 19th of March. Thereafter, I was made a private secretary to cabinet minister, which nevertheless, so 92-93, when the civil aviation opened up, you had so many this thing overnight. One company became 4, 5, 6 companies, and today I believe they have got 10 companies. And this is all high technology business. Aviation is a high technology business. Import of aviation is high technology business. Similarly, in 2015, I visualize defense industry is going to be the most high-tech business in the near future. And I can tell you one thing, in this defense industry, so far the private sector, which was not involved, they are going to be involved in a very big way, whether you are in logistics or in the supply line or in the infrastructure or manufacturing or backroom. Make no mistake. I keep going to the air shows. Abhi Bangalore air show mein gaye the from 17th to 20th February, and I saw the rising India in defense sector. And I'll tell you how things happen. If I give you just slight one statistics about India's defense, which is in this book, Jane's All the World's Aircraft, as well as CPRI, Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, as well as the International Institute for Strategic Studies, London, as well as Geneva-based organization, which give everything in print. So there's nothing military secret which I'm talking about. There's nothing official secret. Everything is there. I'll just read out some of the things. Thus far, the government was only involved, but I can tell you the private sector will be involved in a very big way. Already 5, 6 companies are getting involved. Of course, they are mega. You also will be able to participate. If there's a business worth $10 billion, even there is spin-off of 10%, it's going to be growth and growth only. Arjun main battle tank, I'm sure you, that's an indigenous main battle tank, which faced some problems. Now, Army has ordered 118. Armored infantry fighting vehicle. In 2014, orders worth $300 million were given. Scorpion submarine, Mazagodok is making. Mazagodok, MDL is making $6.2 billion. The Vikrant, which is being manufactured in India, is worth $800 million. I'm giving you these facts and figures because there's bound to be spillover and you are bound to get opportunities. The need is to get into the business, get into the groove, see the legal angle, see the technical angle, make an horizon, make a blueprint and get into it. I'm sure you guys will be successful. And if you are successful, India is successful. And if India is successful, well, everything falls in place, right place. And there's no reason as to why we should not be successful. I do not find any reason. If I can start practice and God is being kind to me at this age of 66, I don't find why you youngsters and this dear friend of mine, Parande, who says I'm retired, which I refuse to accept. So, and there are shipbuilding industry which has picked up so well. India's shipbuilding industry, MDL, Mazagodok, GRSE, Gardenwich Shipbuilders and Engineers, Hindustan Shipyard, Vizag, Cochin Shipyard, Goa Shipyard, they are doing fantastic jobs. And the next job which is coming in the way will be coming, apart from the Rafale deal which has been signed by our Honorable Prime Minister in Paris last month, is going to be the aviation sector. In 91, you had the aviation coming in as a consumer. In 2015 onwards, aviation will come as production and distributor. So that is my friend at the moment. We talk next as and when required. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bhattacharya. Once again, ladies and gents, I'd like to thank our kind sponsors, without which, of course, nothing would have been possible. This session has been sponsored by Ashtray Logistics Private Limited, Container Freight Station. And I would also like to call upon Mr. Francesco Parisi to please felicitate our Business Session 1 sponsor, Ashtray Logistics Private Limited. Mr. Chandrakant Thakkar and Mr. Rajkumar Ravlani, the directors of Ashtray Logistics Private Limited, please come on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the sponsors of the Business Session 1, Ashtray Logistics Private Limited. Mr. Parande to please honor our tea break sponsor, Clearship Group. Our tea break sponsor, Clearship Group. Ladies and gents, the floor is now open for questions. If you have any questions, you may address them to the panel. Mr. Parande, would you please take over?
Good morning, sir. My name is Om Prakash Agrawal. My question is towards Mr. Bhattacharya. Sir, custom has come a long way during these last 10-15 years, what we are seeing, and Mr. Ravindra Sarup has spoken and Mr. Parande has also spoken, and we are, being the custom broker, we are seeing it day in, day out. I agree with you what you mentioned about discretion and the character certificate case, what you mentioned. Sir, this is non-application of mind. There is no discretion required. And these are there. See, we are talking for department. There may be 2% or 5% may not be good officers. If they are being taken care properly, I think these issues can be resolved. And we need to have understanding of proper law also, like discretion asking for a 6-month-old baby to have the character certificate. It shows the non-application of mind. Same way when you talked about the again issuance of the notice to the same assessee by the department, I feel there should be need of accountability. And like if the importer or the exporter delays, he paid the penalty, he is liable for everything, he pays the damage detention and everything. But when the same officer, he passes an order in the blatant disregard to the law, and when the senior or the higher judicial forums give the order against that order of the junior officer, I think at least minimum there should be some remark in the ACR of the officer. Otherwise, this will go unabated. So that is what I would say. Taking clue from you, what you have mentioned, this came to my mind. And I think accountability needs to be incorporated in our future acts. Thank you, sir.
I fully agree with you.
So my name is P.S. Krishnan, representing Chennai Customers Agents Association as a president. I have two questions. The first question is like this. The office has already given enough power to deliver goods on behalf of the government. But nowadays they are not functioning properly what is required by the public. The next avenue is that we are going to SESTAT, we are going to high courts and getting orders. In the Supreme Court also it's very clearly said that judicial discipline has to be maintained by the officers concerned. But today's date, none of the officers is following the judicial discipline, and where as an industry we will go and represent. As a lawyer, you are representing in Supreme Court, you should give us an answer for this. That is my number one question. Number two, you are all worked in the department. You are all giving lectures to us that you should be like this, you should be like that. My only submission here is, as our Chief Minister has mentioned yesterday evening that we should sum it up and we should send representation to the government of the convention theme, what is the conclusion. We should tell the government that officers are in service should take training from the community for 2 years, and they should go and join the department again, deliver goods, so that I think the decision will come. That's what my second, this one. Respond, sir.
I am making a statement of fact about a particular case which I am not going to mention about the case, but about the case, without naming the case. In a court, the matter only, there was one word called use. U-S-E, use. Now, the notification of the Customs Department issued under section 25, which said, had given an exemption to that particular X material, the end use. So it did not write end use, but it said use. Now when the goods came, there were two things which were to be required. One, that it is eligible, eligibility. And two, that you should have a license. It had both. It was eligible, it had the license from the concerned department of the Government of India. It went, but when the guy, but there was one condition also, sub-condition to the sub-clause, that the importer has to give a certificate that in case it is not being used for the purpose for which it has been imported, he will pay the duty. Now the question is, in case it is not used for the purpose, again the word is used. The question is, who will say and who will decide that it has been used for the purpose for which it was imported, or misused or disused or unused or abused? The department says, we will are the boss. I objected. I said, Lordship, how can you be the boss? This pertaining to the goods which have come and have gone inside the huge market of 1.25 billion, how it is being used, whether it is being in Karnataka or Cuttack or Kalimpong, you have no idea. Your customs guys are sitting in the port, Navasheva and airport and Delhi airport and ICDs. You don't go into the village side. You have not so. So who is going to certify? The certificate has to be given pertaining to the use of that particular thing by Department X. No, we will not accept. How? Why won't you accept? 6 hearings, maramari katakati, no decision. Because stakes were too high. So, at the end of the day, I asked only one question. I said, Lordship, this is a gun. The gun has been used or misused or unused or whatever, and whether it is prohibited bore or non-prohibited bore, is customs capable or empowered or authorized to give the certificate? Chup ho gaya. I said, it is the police, Ministry of Home, of the State Department, or the Central Department. They have to tell about the guns, not the customs. Customs can talk about the import and the export. The technical specifications, the use thereof, customs is in no way authorized or empowered. Sorry, Lordship. He got very angry with me. You are challenging customs. I said, I'm not challenging customs. I'm challenging the issue. You are misunderstanding me. It has not yet been decided. वो लटका पड़ा हुआ है, अब पता नहीं, मैंने कहा मारो गोली. What do I do?
Sir, actually, the question I asked something, you are telling something, sir, which is not related to this at all. I am asking about only the judicial discipline, why the officers are not following it. But one thing I understand from you, after you speaking this, use has lot of meanings.
No, the judicial discipline pertaining to what? The court or the customs department?
No. I am talking about an AC pass an order.
Who's
Operator has to follow that as a judicial discipline. If the commissioner pass an order, the additional commissioner or assistant commissioner should follow. If court passes an order, the other authorities who was lower than has to follow, which is not happening as on today. That's what I tried to say.
go for the contempt of court.
That's contempt of court. The hearing itself, it takes 5 years.
No. I don't think so. Contempt of court hearing does not take 5 years. Sorry, Lordship.
Sir, contempt of court, if anybody goes,
Where?
he'll be
Which court?
totally condemned in importing his business in that custom house. So no one will prepare to go for contempt. What I try to say is that why not we have a meeting with the trade, all these officers, officials, government, understand the problem of the trade. That is more important.
No, the problem of this trade is not being understood by some of the departments. There's no doubt about it.
Can I respond to that? Yeah, I agree with you. I think Mr. Bhattacharya also agrees with you. And what you are mentioning actually highlights one of the, the main problem in the organization, and that is the lack of accountability for proper decisions. Nobody gets punished for issuing an illegal demand. Nobody gets punished for issuing an illegal order. Knowing that the order is illegal, orders get passed and people get their promotions. So I completely, you are absolutely right, and I think the performance management system of the department needs to be changed to take into account, and we have actually, I didn't want to mention it, but if you have read our reports, in the Tax Administration Reform Commission, there is a complete chapter on dispute management. And there we have said that, there are two kinds of, I'll just take 2 minutes on this. There are two kinds of performance indicators that can be used for assessing performance. One is what is called the lead indicator and lag indicator. Now, lead indicators are typically indicators where within a reporting period you got data available, right? How many cases have you decided is something that at the end of a reporting period you will know how many have been decided. And that is the way assessment works. Lag indicators, on the other hand, are indicators which indicate quality of those decisions. So, supposing I pass a decision today, it gets tested in appeal, in courts, etc., results of which come after 2-3 years. So what we have recommended is that officers' performance assessment should include both these. And a person who is making illegal pro-revenue orders should suffer for it. So unless this performance appraisal, performance management changes, this situation is unlikely to change. And it's only when that happens that you will find behavior of people changing.
Sir, I would like to just add one point. Yeah, I would just like to add a couple of points. I think what you are referring to is more a problem of the executive decision. That is, if a favorable order for the SSC is received from the Commissioner Appeal or the CSTAT, why it should not be followed? Is there any good reason not to follow it? And sometimes the AC of the group in a custom house, he says that I will wait for the acceptance of the decision in review. Then again that takes time. So these are typical ground level problems, and these are to be handled more by the executive commissioner or the additional commissioner concerned at the port concerned. And by and large, I think in, I don't know about Chennai, though I have worked there, in the decade of 90s, but here in Mumbai, even as many of my friends in the audience would vouch, that most of the decisions which are there in the appellate or at any stage, there is no reason why they are not implemented. Even if there are refunds flowing out of it, if the demurrage waivers are to be granted, then we take those decisions. And these are the issues which come up in the facilitation committee meetings also. And at the policy level, we have the national litigation policy now, which has clearly specified the limits, that beyond this, if there is a question of fine, penalty, or the duty involved is below a certain limit, it should not be, there should be no review filed in the CSTAT or in the High Court. So many of the cases are getting settled through that mechanism also. So these are the, the different things. Accountability of the officer, of course, is paramount. There is no denying that. But these are the other methods which the department has increasingly started to realize that there is a way to settle disputes expeditiously, and there is no point in litigating. And in fact, now in the Supreme Court also, sir, we have a special bench created to set up the tax disputes. And they have actually now set a very high rate of target disposal in the last 3 months. And there is a constant assessment going on in the field level also about the cases which have been taken up and now not succeeded. So who are the officers who have been passing such orders? So it is an internal process which I am sharing with you. But these are all in recognition of the fact that the department also doesn't want disputes or litigation.
Say here, yeah, Samir, I am giving 1 minute. Say here, I want to say one thing, what you have said just now, and what is my experience, that as a national body, what I see, that what you have said, that in Chennai something has been followed, in Mumbai something is followed, in Calcutta something is followed. What Mr. Bhattacharya in his speech has said, I think that is the most important thing we require, that an institutional discipline is required. It is not that officer to officer is required, that this officer is following the correct route, another officer is following a wrong route. The point, my point is that, or the point of the whole audience or my friends is that there should be an institutional discipline and the law should be same. The people, the officer should work as per the law. They don't want anything bifurcation of law, but they should work as per the law which is laid down, and it is across the whole country. Not in Mumbai, there are some good officers, in Chennai, some officers are bad, or in Calcutta, some are good. This should not happen. That is, I think, the main request from the trade. Yes, Samir.
Good morning. My name is Samir Shah. I come in from Ahmedabad. My question is for Mr. Swaroop. Mr. Swaroop, first I'd like to thank you for using the word that the government should engage the custom broker and the forwarder in their initiatives. I must thank you for that. Secondly, you are in a position where you can influence the government, and I'm told you're a wonderful officer. Congratulations. The origins of the Customs Act still remain criminal. Unless there is a move to target or hit that, I really don't see any change happening. And the second thing is, we are all talking compliance. What would a simple definition of compliance be? A simple definition of compliance will be that whatever has been laid down has to be followed. Our biggest bone of contention today in working with the department is self-assessment. Your officers have put across every notification, every circular of self-assessment out of the window. We do self-assessment, the file goes through self-assessment, goes to the out-of-charge officer, and he does an assessment from zero again. I think, sir, if there can be a very specific action taken by you through your department to target these two things, I'm sure it will solve a lot of problems. I don't see why there should be dispute resolution. I don't see why I should be told that go to a higher officer and get it done. I think you need to be sensitive to the amount of trouble, time, money, tension that we all undergo. So my humble submission to you would be to react on these two things, please.
First is, I could not agree with you more. Both are very valid points. But I want to put one cross question to you. How many of the people in this audience have gone to meet a commissioner of customs in the last maybe 1 month? Let me see. These would be about 15 people in a gathering of about 100. Now, I would like to share with you that we have a very robust mechanism of sharing of information. We have our websites. Like I, for one, my email ID is indicated in the website, and I receive emails every day. I check the first thing in the morning, and there are maybe 2 thank you notes from the previous day or the week, but there are 2 abusive emails also as to why my work has not been done, or there are old, opponents here in the scheme of things. But there are other things also, about 7, 8 are there, of them are thank you emails. So this is where you have to, everybody keeps saying that the senior officers are accessible. We keep hearing that in every fora. But many of the importers, exporters, freight forwarders, customs brokers, they just keep doing rounds of at the lower levels, and they never scale up to the additional commissioner or the commissioner. And all of us sitting there, we meet every person who gives us their business card on the same day in the same session. Forenoon means forenoon. Maybe there may be a delay of half an hour or 1 hour in meeting. But otherwise, we are accessible. People who give us a fax for an appointment, the very next day they would get time. If somebody wants to come from, South Bombay or North Bombay, crossing the city. So these are avenues available. So everything doesn't have to go into a dispute. Many of the problems, self-assessment, when you file a bill of entry, even now the courts have, CSTAT has held that a reassessment, you should not be penalized. You have a right to claim a notification, and it is not believed that, you have misdeclared. So the assessing officer should reassess, denying you the benefit of the notification. It doesn't have to result in a fine and penalty per se. So that is the very scheme of things. Now, how well, even we have cases of ACP clients where they clear the goods, they take it to their factory, and during their audit, they have come to know that there's one invoice was missed. So there are big companies which come to us, and we don't start with the presumption that there's a misdeclaration. If the bill of entry has got cleared through RMS, we say that, okay, you pay duty. Sorry? We say you pay the duty, and that's the end of the matter. There is no fine or no penalty. That order is accepted in review by the commissioner. So these are the processes which we are building into the system. Now, what is, as Mr. Datta said, this has to be uniformly followed all over the country, and how it is done, that is also a matter of executive decision making. So we have to, I would urge you to start accessing the system more and more, start meeting with the senior officers. We have trade facilitation committees every fortnight, where the import commissioner, export commissioner interact with all the representatives of the recognized associations. So these issues do come up there. Issues of demurrage, assessment, all these things. And we try to solve them to the best of our ability. So in case there are still, to this house also I would say again, if there are any issues, please access us.
Yes.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Naren Prabhakar, and I represent custom brokers in Ludhiana. So FFI that though the name suggests Federation of Freight Forwarders, but we are primarily custom brokers. As a custom broker, we simply represent our importers or exporters. We are merely representing them. We are not importers and exporters. In a case of dispute, when a consignment is intercepted or some inquiry goes on, the basic method of investigation is that the agencies would visit the custom broker's office as also. Sir, you spoke about three things: technology, trust, and transparency. I was hoping you will touch the word mindset also. So my question is simply, you come to our office, you take our computers, you go into our records, and then you summon us. You don't find anything related to a particular case that you are investigating. Still, we end up getting the show causes. We have to go through that rigmarole for 2.5, 3 years, finally get absolved. When is this practice and this mindset going to change? Mr. Bhattacharya ji, he represents, people like we represent importers, exporters. I haven't seen any advocate being charged with a case of misdeclaration. Whereas a custom broker is always held by the scruff of his neck that you either abated this crime or you misdeclared. So the terrorists, kill people openly. The advocate goes in the court and says he's innocent. Why is he not show-caused? And why are we show-caused when the misdeclaration is primarily by either the importer or the exporter? So I request your attention here as to please, it's time that we get what we deserve. I have attended a lot of such conventions, and I thank FFI for that. The noises are very good. The words used are very good, but they are far from being practiced. So I think it's time that something is done about this. Thank you very much.
Agreed. Noted. Please let this be a takeaway point from this convention, and I would request the fraternity to urge it this has to be done at a policy level with the board, and we have a very responsive setup now, and I'm sure this would be taken up, and there is always a delicate balance to be struck between the need for enforcement and need for trust. So there are deviant people in every organization, and that should not be the yardstick for measuring the entire fraternity. I agree with you fully, and your first point was the first thing you
mindset.
The mindset, of course, mindset is through more engagement and appreciating the other side's point of view. I guess that's a continuous process.
Sir, I just like to add, a custom broker, as it is said, by the department, is an arm of department.
Of course.
We are there, Now, if I am held responsible, wherein I am not, what would be my normal reaction? I'll try to defend myself, rather help you in catching the person who is creating trouble, for you and for me. But when I am looked down upon by the department, that it is because of you, that is how it begins, unfortunately.
So let me just address this. I agree with you, what you said with what you said in the beginning, that the entire scheme of law as of now is designed to check misuse. That is the underlying theme of not only Customs Act, but most laws in our country, and that is basically it's a legacy issue. And this is my personal view, this is not the government's view, let me clarify to the audience. And we need to shift away from that as to have enabling provisions. So the entire legal architecture has to be changed.
Yes.
But that will take time. There is a recognition indeed for that. And as I mentioned, there is a delicate balance between enforcement, like you have increasing trust in self-assessment and self-sealing of containers, and we have so many cases, as you would be aware, DRI books, that a container moves from the factory, the freight forwarder or the customs broker doesn't have a clue because there are other players in the clearance chain, the container gets switched, it gets exported, some of them have gone, some of them are intercepted, and then obviously then all the players are dragged into the legal process. So there are cases like that definitely. And when we talk about the volumes that are being moved through ports and air cargoes, like in Nhava Sheva and in air cargo, you have about 2,000 to 3,000 import shipments going every day on the import side and equal number on the export side. So the volumes are very high. There is a dedicated small team of officers who are 60% of the assessments are through the RMS. The 40% only comes to the officers. And an out of charge is given based on your declaration. So in that scheme of things, when an increasing trust is being placed, I think the AEO route, that authorized economic operators route, is the way forward for all of you to secure the supply chain, the entire supply chain. That way you would also be, looking at your internal processes, auditing them, getting them certified. And that way the entire process will become more secure. So it's a mix of all these things. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is the last question, Shankar Shinde.
Good morning, thank you. First of all, sir, we fail to understand one thing, why the revenue targets are given to the customs. On one side, we say that they are not the revenue generator, they are the revenue regulators. So that will completely depend upon the business. Once the target comes into the mind, then it is the mind pressure which creates to the officers, which results in loading of all these values, sir. One thing is that. So we request you to take this into consideration as a regulator and not as a generator. Second thing, where Mr. Parande Sahab also said and Mr. Swarup Sahab, we are moving towards the facilitation. Trade facilitation, where we are trying to move from AEOs, from the ACP clients and AEOs. Now, I am an authorized economic operator as a custom broker, as a Global Express Multi Logistics Private Limited. Since 3 years, we have been running this program, but I don't find any add-on advantage to facilitate trade where I play an important role, where the RMS is playing, or I am integrated into RMS, which it can run smoothly. So the participation, you will not get that response if you don't facilitate with the AEO programs. So this needs to be little streamlined, so we can see that more participation is taken into the AEO concept. Thank you.
Hello? Yeah. Yeah, your first point, I think it echoes what we have recommended from the Tax Administration Reform Commission. One of the strongest recommendations is that the government should abandon revenue targets the way they are implemented today. But no government in the world really has done away with revenue forecasting. So there is a difference between setting up revenue targets and having a revenue forecast. The target should be what we call minimization of tax gap. Now what is the tax gap? Tax gap is the difference between the tax that ought to be collected and the tax that is collected. So when you make reduction of tax gap your target, then you have a more holistic administration, which will focus on everything, customer services, dispute resolution, clarificatory circulars, clarity in implementation of law, which will promote the collection of the right legally authorized amount of revenue, as against revenue targets where the formations are told that, okay, your target for this year is 2,000 crores. So they go, after the importer by whichever way, knowing that many of the, some of the revenue which is collected is going to be refunded because the collection is aggressively inflated. So that is something that has been recommended, and I hope the government accepts that. As regards the second question, you're right. I think and I mentioned that in the beginning, when you talk about compliance and you accept that compliance is a shared responsibility, then the job of the citizen, it is the job of the business, citizens, etc., to follow the law, and job of the government is to create conditions which enable the citizens to follow the law. And there you do segmentation. So people who have invested in compliance should have a different order of relationship with the enforcement agencies, and cutting across not just customs, the other agencies which are operating at the border, the DGFT, the animal husbandry, the plant quarantine, health, so on and so forth. So all of these should be a part of the common risk management framework. That is, if only when that partnership among agencies, partnership with the trade and industry develops, that compliance will really improve. So it's a common, what we need to do is to create that culture in which everyone accepts that it's a shared responsibility to enhance compliance.
Thank you. Now I request Mr. Dushyant Mulani to give a vote of thanks.
Thank you, friends. It was very heartening this morning to read the newspapers. All the newspapers have carried a big advertisement today from central government that announcing that India is moving from red tape to red carpet. And they've asked for all the suggestions on their portal, which I strongly request everybody to kindly post whatever good ideas that our esteemed guests have given today. We should move forward and make the represent what Honorable Chief Minister also announced yesterday. So let us get into it. The mindset has been built up that intellectual infrastructure is being built up now to get into a next gear, a high gear, top speed gear. My personal thanks. We all thank you, Mr. Parisi, for sparing his time coming all the way from Honduras, sharing his thought process here, how to integrate India into the global scenario. Yes, that will. Your words were very helpful. That will that has enlightened the community. Mr. Y.G. Parande, Shri Abhijit Bhattacharya, Mr. Ravinder Swarup, thank you all. Above all, my personal thanks to Chairman Debashish Datta and Ashish Pednekar for reposing the trust and giving us all the free hand to develop this business sessions. Thank you all. Thank you all for being here, and let's join for tea.
Our next session will start at 12:30.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mulani and gentlemen on the dais. We will now go into a quick tea break sponsored by Clearship Group. Please help yourself with refreshments, enjoy yourself. We will begin the next session in 15 minutes. Thank you very much.